Hey, good afternoon, YouTube. So this is the Hitachi angle grinder model G12SA that I overhauled the electrical components in, and I found a little better fix for the switch. Yeah, so this grinder's always had kind of a problem with the switch in that it was rather tenuous up there. It didn't really like to hold in position, and especially if the grinding wheel got a little bit of vibration, it would tend to pop loose. And so what I did, I figured that it just wasn't pushing up far enough. So what I did was took a little bit of adhesive neoprene foam. Inside of here there's a recess, so I put one layer of 1/8 inch or 3mm thick foam in that recess to fill it up, and then I put a second layer on top there, and it's just an adhesive tape, like a weather stripping tape. And then when I put that down, that provides a little bit of lift on the back of the switch, so it automatically stays in position. And then you can just put the screw in like that, and I put a little bit of blue Loctite on the screw so it stays tight like that. But there you go. Now you have to actually push down on it, and you can see I can hit it pretty hard and it doesn't shake loose yet. Just a quick press on the back of the switch is enough to hold it there. So I think that'll help with the switch here. Just get the screw. You don't want it too tight either, because this switch has to be able to rock a little bit. If you tighten the screw down too much, it won't tip over like it needs to there. So there's the switch. I think I've got that fixed. And then one of my commenters mentioned that I didn't take a look in here at the drive gear. After thinking about that, I pulled out these 4 screws here in the corner, and let's see if we can get this out. And that's what you have inside there. So there's just a bushing here, and then you've got like a spur gear, and then a ring gear of sorts. So I guess that's like a pinion and a ring gear in your vehicle's differential. But that is pretty well dried out. Yeah, so I've got 2 different lubes that I might try. So this is one made by Skill. It's their worm drive saw and belt sander lubricant. And then I also have some CV joint grease. So this is a pretty loose grease, but this one is, I'd never opened it before. This is more like an oil, and I've read that something more liquid in here works better, because the problem is when it's running, if you use a heavy grease, it all flings to the outside of this housing, like it is right there. There's all your grease. It's all stuck to the outside, and it's not on the gears. This does seem to have an actual gasket around there to seal in oil. So yeah, I'll go clean this out a little bit, and then we can take a look at it. Okay, there we go, YouTube. I think I got her all cleaned out as much as I can. There was a bunch of dried grease packed in around the pinion. I got most of that out and just kind of held it in my parts washer upside down like this so I could loosen up all that grease, and then blew it out with some compressed air. So I think that's good. This gasket is still there. So I want to see what this Skill worm drive oil is like. So the thing I read online was you want to fill this about 1/3 to half the way with oil. Yeah, it looks like, almost looks like honey. So we'll try that. That's probably pretty good. You don't want to go too full, because when the oil heats up there's no place for it to go and it's just going to leak out. That is the way that goes in there. That feels like it's in there. Okay, we got the screws mostly in, so just bring them down just snug there, kind of crisscross fashion. There, everybody's just barely bottomed out, and then give them a final twist there. Okay, I think that'll do it. And then the other thing I did, this was all caked up with grinding dust, just heavy in there, so I scraped it out as best I could and then put it on my wire wheel and cleaned all that out. So that's your guard there. I guess all the grease must have leaked out around here. This was all caked up with kind of grease and grinding dust. It was kind of a heavy deposit on there, so I guess that's where all the grease went. Yeah, that's pretty good on there. I like to leave that a little bit loose so you can, if you need to, you can move it around a little bit to, yeah, that's usually pretty good. Okay, one other thing I thought I would do before I put this back together is, I think there's just a bushing in here. Here's your commutator for the brushes, and right down there I believe is the end of the motor shaft. Yeah, so try to get a little bit of oil down in there. I'm thinking it's a bushing because it's quieted it down quite a bit there, so yeah, I can't tell if that's a bearing or a bushing in there. But anyway, a little bit of oil seems to do the trick, so I think I'll just get this back on. Okay, we got it all back together. Let's check it out. Yeah, it sounds pretty good. Still get a little bit of noise out of those gears, but I think that's mainly when you're running at no load because there's nothing keeping the teeth tight. And there's a little bit of play in there. I think those gear teeth had worn out a little bit. They felt kind of sharp. But I think that'll do it for another few years until something else goes out. But yeah, I think everything's back to tip-top shape. So yeah, I'll see how this oil lasts. I think we're good to go for another while, and maybe at that point, if this thing quits working for good, it's probably cheaper to replace it. But I imagine by the time you buy new gears for the head and you buy new bushings or bearings for the motor, you're probably into it for $40 or $50, and you can buy a new one for about $90 or $100. That might be the way to go, but I think this will be good for quite a while here. So I just thought I'd show you the rest of the rebuild. Good thing I took a look in there. That turned out to be a really quite simple fix. A little bit of solvent in the parts washer and some new lube to fill it back up, and I think we're good to go. Anyway, if you have any questions about that, post up in the comment section down below, and I'll put the earlier video over here on the side if you're interested. And as always, thanks for watching.